The comments Johnny Herbert recently made about Lewis Hamilton go beyond mere criticism. They represent a fundamental disrespect that has left Ferrari supporters absolutely furious. In a scathing public declaration, the former Formula One competitor suggested that Ferrari cannot continue to depend on the seven-time championship winner, and even cast doubt on whether Hamilton retains the natural speed that established him as Formula One's most accomplished racer. Many viewed this as more than severe commentary. It felt like a direct assault, because when someone with Johnny Herbert's platform targets a racing legend like Lewis, it communicates something significant not only to supporters but to Ferrari, the press, and the entire racing community. The situation deteriorated when he drew comparisons between Hamilton's present difficulties and the deterioration experienced by racing icons such as Schumacher and Mansell, implying that Lewis might also be beyond his prime years. But does this assessment hold water, or are we witnessing another instance of someone chasing attention with sensational statements? In this analysis, we examine precisely what Herbert declared: the actual performance data surrounding Hamilton's recent results, the reality of his current standing with Ferrari, and why this supposed critique might actually expose more about the team's condition than about Lewis himself. So if you want to cut through the speculation and understand the complete picture, remember to hit like, subscribe, and watch until the conclusion, because the real situation developing behind Ferrari's closed doors might be even more surprising than Herbert's controversial remarks. Johnny Herbert's recent statements represent more than controversy. They constitute a direct confrontation to Ferrari's entire strategy for 2025. The former Formula One competitor and Sky Sports commentator has stated unequivocally that Lewis Hamilton no longer represents the driver Ferrari can trust, whether in qualifying, during races, or in crucial moments, and the impact reverberates throughout the racing community. Herbert stated that Lewis appears completely lost, genuinely lost, and his criticism extended further. He directly questioned whether Hamilton still maintains that natural instinctive speed that previously made him invincible. In Herbert's view, if Lewis remained at peak performance, we would witness him achieving exactly what Max Verstappen accomplishes currently: elevating the vehicle, exceeding expectations, and making extraordinary feats appear effortless. However, Herbert suggests we are observing something different, something more troubling: a gradual deterioration. This perspective is not from a competing team principal or resentful former teammate seeking drama. This comes from Johnny Herbert, someone who understands competing at the highest level, someone who has observed Hamilton's dominance throughout more than 10 years. When he publicly states that Ferrari should abandon building around Hamilton, this transcends casual opinion. It becomes a caution, an urgent alert. The intensity escalates because Herbert's observations were not limited to performance, they became personal. He discussed Hamilton's evident disconnection from the vehicle, from the team, and from his own instincts. He emphasized the distant radio communications between Hamilton and engineer Riccardo Adami. He stressed the missing chemistry, the type of relationship every exceptional driver-engineer combination requires to achieve maximum performance. Without this connection, Herbert contends, Hamilton operates without proper guidance. Meanwhile, Charles Leclerc is steadily establishing himself as the foundation Ferrari requires. He is not producing spectacular results, he is not achieving race victories, but he maintains consistency, demonstrates adaptability, and secures podium positions even when the vehicle does not suit his driving style. According to Herbert, this represents what truly counts: not historical reputation, not previous achievements, but current results. Herbert then made uncomfortable comparisons to other sporting legends, Nigel Mansell and Michael Schumacher, drivers who, after achieving incredible success, witnessed their competitive edge diminish as they returned or changed teams during the later stages of their careers. He is not declaring Hamilton finished, but he is suggesting the possibility that we may have already passed the pinnacle. And this represents a difficult reality for Ferrari because they did not recruit Hamilton merely for publicity. They did not present him with a record-setting contract simply to increase merchandise revenue. They acquired his services to spearhead a championship campaign to provide the distinction between possibility and achievement. 9 races into the season, he trails his teammate and receives instructions to yield position on track. This extends beyond a performance problem. It represents a fundamental crisis. The pressure now affects not only Lewis Hamilton, but Ferrari, and it intensifies daily. They face a critical decision with one of racing history's greatest drivers, and the question remains simple. Do they maintain faith in the extended strategy with Hamilton influencing the 2025 car and future developments, hoping that exceptional ability eventually returns? Or do they start shifting focus quietly toward Leclerc, the driver who consistently demonstrates his capability to extract points, podium finishes, and strong performances from an imperfect vehicle? This extends beyond the Spanish Grand Prix, beyond Hamilton's championship position. This concerns momentum, confidence, and Johnny Herbert's declaration has compelled Ferrari to address something they have probably been discussing privately for weeks. The brilliance that previously made Hamilton unbeatable has not emerged in red colors, not yet, and no assurance exists that it will. When someone like Herbert speaks publicly, it creates impact. Not because he seeks attention, but because he has witnessed everything before. The gradual weakening of supremacy, the quiet decline of champions who remained active slightly too long. He is not attacking Hamilton's career achievements. He is cautioning about a pattern that has already documented itself throughout racing history. When these words reach a team like Ferrari, where every choice carries political, strategic, and emotional weight, they do not merely create discussion, they influence outcomes. This represents the risk for Lewis Hamilton. If Ferrari starts questioning their faith, even marginally, everything transforms. It modifies how they prioritize improvements. It changes how they distribute resources. It alters how they design the vehicle for 2026, because whether they acknowledge it or not, Ferrari is already considering the next championship period, the upcoming era. In a sport where every tenth of a second requires millions in investment, they cannot afford to support the incorrect approach or the wrong driver. Hamilton now confronts one of his career's most challenging battles, not against Verstappen or time, but against perception and expectation. Time continues passing, media coverage shifts, and for the first time in years he faces doubt, not because of his failures, but because others perform better. Still, this remains Lewis Hamilton. 7 world championships, 103 victories, the most successful competitor in the sport's history. If anyone possesses the ability to reverse this situation, to absorb pressure and respond with excellence, it is him. However, the opportunity window continues shrinking. Every race without a breakthrough provides another argument for Ferrari to redirect attention, another piece of evidence for Herbert's position. What follows next? That represents the crucial question. Does Hamilton silence critics with a remarkable performance that restores Maranello's confidence, or does he continue facing difficulties observed by a team gradually reconsidering its future? One certainty remains: this story continues because Formula One's most significant decisions rarely occur publicly. They develop in meetings, through private conversations, in internal assessments and engineering reviews. Currently, every discussion at Ferrari has shifted since Johnny Herbert expressed his views. If you have stayed throughout this analysis, we appreciate your attention. Share thoughts in the comments. Do you support Herbert's assessment? Has Hamilton lost his edge, or is his resurgence beginning? If you want to follow developments in this story because it is about to become more dramatic, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and activate notifications. Ferrari must make a choice, and their decision could reshape Formula One's future.